doesn't mean you have to vote Democrat. This year, in order to see benefits for our communities, we need to vote outside the box. Find out more by visiting us at tuconservative.com.
Nice call. Do you like a Tribe Called Quest? Well, you gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Do you like manwich and nachos? Well, then you love the Urban Conservative.
Do you like guns? Do you like butter? Well, you're gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Yo, what's good, son? You like pit bulls, say? You like solving Sudoku puzzles? Then you gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Hey, buddy, if your car making a sound like this, you might want to get you some power steering fluid and check out the Urban Conservative podcast.
Are you repulsed by the idea of drag queen story time at your local library, but enjoy Carol Baskin TikTok memes? Then you would enjoy the Urban Conservative.
Do you want to slap your boss and then go home and make yourself some golden brown pancakes covered in butter and freshly made warm boysenberry syrup? Then you'll love the Urban Conservative.
If you're a little over Cardi B and you're repulsed by the thought of Hogmaw, check out the Urban Conservative. You ready? If you think the earth is flat and always on that weird side of YouTube, check out the Urban Conservative. They'll set you straight.
If you're in a chasing dopey and you love South Fish and Festival, check out the Urban Conservative.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what it is. It's time for Top of the Morning here on the Urban Conservative. It is Friday, July the 12th, 2024. Joe Biden is still the worst president in U.S. history. Whether or not he knows that he is in fact still the president remains to be seen. But glad that you are here rocking with us on the Urban Conservative each and every Monday through Friday right here for Top of the Morning, the best 30-minute morning show on the internet. Glad that you're here rocking with the Urban Conservative. Our mission to share conservative values and principles and the benefits of conservative policies to urban communities across this great, wonderful, and amazing country of ours. If you haven't done so, tuconservative.com is the website that you can go to support our mission. As well, yours truly running for U.S. House District 12. You can go to aliforcongress.com. We can do more in 24. We're asking everybody across the country to donate $24 to help us take on the Democrat machine here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a Friday. That means it's time for the weekly wrap up here on the Urban Conservative. A couple of big shouts out. I got to give a massive, amazing, huge shout out to the Mecklenburg County Republican Party. Trump Force 47 had a great, fantastic turnout last night for the opening of the Trump office here in Charlotte. Man, it was when I say a great turnout, folks, it was a great turnout. Office was packed, full of people, high energy, had a surprise guest special appearance from U.S. Congressman and the next Attorney General for the state of North Carolina, Dan Bishop, was in the building. My good friend Speaker Tim Moore was in the building, as well as Tarek and Krista Bakari and so many other wonderful people. Again, Trump Force 47 office is open and ready to win this election. I got to tell you, though, folks, it has been interesting. The RNC convention is going on. It is very interesting to see how things are shaping up. We've got a new Republican Party platform. I'm excited about the platform. I know some folks have some concerns, and we're actually going to do a full on episode, kind of taking a breakdown and a look at the new Republican Party platform. I like the platform. I think that could have done some, not everything's 100% when people got their hands involved, but I think it's a good platform. I'm solid. I think it's solid. I think it doesn't make us look, it doesn't make us look like we are ultra far right, uber, it's a good platform. And I think the condensation of it, to condense it down, was good. I know some of my pro-life friends have concerns. We're going to take a look at that platform next week on the Urban Conservative. But ladies and gentlemen, oh man, it's real when you're calling Donald Trump your vice president. It's real when you're calling President Zelensky of Ukraine Putin. It's a problem, ladies and gentlemen. And all things considered, a year or three ago, when we were all saying Joe Biden is campaigning from the basement because he is unfit to be president, we were all conspiracy theorists, if y'all remember. We were all called, y'all don't know what you're talking about. Joe's going to do just fine. Joe's in great shape. We were all called nuts. We were all called conspiracy theorists, told us to get our tinfoil hats, told us that we didn't know what we were talking about. And this week has been a roller coaster. Not only have the conspiracy theorist, air finger quote on that, been proven correct again, we all knew Joe Biden was in no position, no condition, no mental position or condition to be, air finger quote, running the country, which leaves the question, who's actually running the country right now? Who is I hate to use the term leader of the free world right now, because it certainly is not Joe Biden. It certainly isn't him. But it's real when you do a press conference, supposedly a big boy press conference, and now you have the mainstream media, mainly CNN and these other groups, are now turning on Joe Biden. They're turning on him. They're not allowing, they don't want Joe Biden. Let's just put it this way. And when CNN is calling you out, when your own lefty rag media is calling you out, I can't make this up. Let's take a look, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to actually take a look here. And this ain't me. This is CNN. This is actually straight from CNN. CNN is fact-checking Joe Biden, trying to reassure voters. First, he called Vladimir Zelensky President Putin. He corrected himself, right? But he still called him President Putin. So let's go through some of these fact checks. And the reason I want to go through these fact checks is because this isn't Republican fact checking. This isn't conservative by any means. Y'all know CNN. What should I call it? DN CNN. First fact, Biden's claim was false. He didn't utter 5 other names after he corrected the Putin-Zelensky mix-up. In fact, after Biden corrected himself, Zelensky said he is better than Putin. Biden agreed, and then Zelensky delivered remarks as Biden stood silently behind him. He also talked about his travel. He spoke of the need to pace himself in his activities. He said, the next debate, I'm not going to be traveling 15 time zones a week before. Anyway, that's what it was about. This is misleading. And this isn't a conservative outlet. This is CNN fact-checking real time right in front of you. Biden did not travel abroad a week before the June 27th CNN presidential debate, in which he performed poorly. In fact, he returned to the U.S. from Europe 12 days before that debate on June 15th. He attended a fundraiser in Los Angeles on June 15th, returned to the White House on the 16th, went to Camp David on the 20th for intensive debate prep, stayed at Camp David until the day of the debate against Trump, which was held in Atlanta. Come on now. And then we're going to have to deal with a bunch of these Democrats, a bunch of people on the left talking about at least Joe Biden is honest. But here you have it, right? Real time, him lying. Let's check this out. Biden criticizing Trump's position on NATO military alliance said, quote, I think he said at one of his rallies, don't hold me to this recently where NATO, I just learned about NATO or something to that effect. Foreign policy's never been a strong point. Facts first. Biden's description of Trump's comment was indeed inaccurate, a lie. Trump did not say at a recent rally that I just learned about NATO. Rather, Trump said at the rally that he had not known what NATO was too much, quote, prior to attending his first alliance summit as president in 2017. Trump said at his Tuesday rally in Florida, I didn't want to be obnoxious because I felt, it was the first time I'd ever done this. I went. I didn't even know what the hell NATO was too much before, but it didn't take me long to figure it out, like about 2 minutes. And the first thing I figured out is that they weren't paying, which is a certified, bona fide 1 gajillion% fact, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why you have countries like Canada that are terrified of Trump coming back into office, because he's going to make them pay their fair share, as they should. I mean, think about how much money the U.S. has got on the hook in NATO. How many other countries we're paying for NATO? Absolutely ridiculous. Biden is entitled to criticize Trump for his profession prior ignorance about NATO or his continued accuracy, but Biden's comment make it sound like Trump didn't know what NATO was, which was a lie. Y'all want to call it inaccuracies, but it's a lie. Another thing, Hamas and the West Bank talking about the war between Israel and Hamas. Biden said Thursday, there's a growing dissatisfaction on the West Bank from the Palestinians about Hamas. Hamas is not popular now. Facts first. CNN. The limited available public opinion polling suggests the claim that Hamas is not popular now in the West Bank is not true, and that Hamas popularity has increased there since its attack on Israel last October. Poll taken in late May and early June by a well-known pollster based in the West Bank, the Palestinian Center for Policy and Survey Research, found that 73% of respondents in the West Bank supported the October attack by Hamas, that 82% of respondents in the West Bank were satisfied with Hamas' performance in the current war with Israel, and that 71% of respondents in the West Bank preferred Hamas to control the Gaza Strip after the war. So this idea, all right, that we have a situation in the West Bank and in Israel where the general public is not supportive of Hamas is wrong. And Israel should, by all means and measures, do everything it can to defend itself. And Biden continuously, without fail, funding Hamas under the air finger quote guise of humanitarianism. Isn't that what they say in our country? They just want asylum. We just got to give them an asylum. We got to give them humanitarian aid. In addition, Hamas has the support of about half of the West Bank respondents who said they would vote in hypothetical parliamentary elections, double its support level in a poll 9 months prior. Come on. Biden talking about the UAW, the United Auto Workers endorsement. Biden claimed that the UAW just endorsed him is misleading at best. In other words, a lie. The UAW actually announced this endorsement of Biden on January 24th, more than 5 months ago. But here's what you got. You've got an 80-year-old man who has no concept of time at this point. He is so cognitively declined. I don't think the man has a concept of time. January, February, March, all running together for the guy at this point. But this is, again, folks, if you're just tuning in, let us know where you're watching from. This is not conservative fact-checking, folks. This is straight from CNN. And the reason we're going to this is because you then cannot say, for the lefties that troll our show and say we only go to the Republican or the conservative fact-checking, this is straight from CNN. Can't make this stuff up. War in Afghanistan. Biden claims that he was totally opposed to the occupation of Afghanistan is misleading, or, let's say it together, folks, a lie. In the early years of the war, Biden, then a U.S. Senator for Delaware, was a vocal public supporter of the U.S. having a sustained military presence in Afghanistan and engaging in extensive, quote, nation building there. And he explicitly rejected the idea of a narrow military mission targeting terrorists. Biden did eventually change his mind, becoming a sharp internal critic of the war. As Barack Obama's vice president beginning in 2009, he opposed Obama's surge of additional troops into the country, but Biden has repeatedly suggested he always opposed the idea of a U.S. military presence and nation-building efforts in Afghanistan, and that's incorrect. Let's say it together, or a lie. Come on, y'all. This is CNN. This is not conservative right-wing propaganda in the slightest. October 2001 speech in the Senate, Biden outlined a broad agenda for a long-term solution, which he said would involve everything from the restoration of women's rights to the building of basic infrastructure to the creation of secular schools to the establishment of a crop substitution program for narcotics, and said that it would be unwise to simply go after terrorists, saying, quote, "We cannot repeat the mistakes of the past if we think only in the short term, only of getting bin Laden and the Taliban, which we must do, but that is not all we must do." But the problem you have to realize is that Afghanistan is not America. You can't tell those people how to govern themselves. You ain't got no business over there trying to air finger quote nation build. Not when you have your own southern border a wreck. Not when you have massive fentanyl deaths in our country. Fentanyl overdose becoming one of the leading causes of death of young people in this country. Not a shot. Okay? This is now that's all fact checking from CNN. This is not, like I said, right-wing politics, right-wing propaganda at all. Okay? Now, this is the interesting thing to me. And ladies and gentlemen, I could not bear to watch this press conference in its entirety. I don't know if you were able to do it. I couldn't do it. But this tells me this man is in a really bad way. I hope he stays in the race. If conservatives were smart, if Republicans were smart, we wouldn't be calling for Biden to step out. But there's a separate side to this. We're going to talk. Let's take a listen to this. Listen to it.
So with that, you have any want to follow up on any of that you just asked me?
Yes. You earlier explained confidence in your vice president.
Yes.
If your team came back and showed you data that she would fare better against former President Donald Trump, would you reconsider your decision to stay in the race?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win. Me. No one's saying that. No.
Come on, people. No one's saying that. What is this whisper thing? What in the... I cannot figure out what this whisper thing is. Does anybody understand why he just goes into a full-blown whisper? What is that?
There's no way you can win.
Is there anything in there, folks? Like, seriously, I'm not being mean, but is there anything? Is there something like... I feel like the light's on, but nobody's home. The mouse is in the cage, but it ain't on the wheel. Insert analogy there. Come on, people. And y'all are going to tell us this guy right here 4 years ago was not this cognitively declined 4 years ago? Not when you got George Clinton. Come on now. This is beyond scary, folks. Listen to this. What is this?
Me. No one's saying that. No poll says that.
Come on, ladies and gentlemen. What in the world are we doing as a country, folks? This absolutely cannot stand. Now, the question is, who's behind this? And there's a lot of supposition that Barack Obama's behind a little bit of this. We're going to take a look at that, explore some of that when we come right back here on the other side of this commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, you are rocking with us. Top of the morning here on The Urban Conservative. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Front the opioid crisis, but it turns out that was just another broken campaign promise. Here's what really happened under Stein's leadership. Drug overdose deaths in North Carolina have more than doubled. In 2021, 4,041 people in North Carolina lost their lives to overdoses, the highest number of overdose deaths in a single year ever in North Carolina. And fentanyl overdose deaths have increased more than 650%. Stein can't be trusted to protect North Carolina's kids and families.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen, you're back. Top of the morning here on the Urban Conservative. Man, we appreciate you rocking with us. Let us know where you're listening from so we can give you a shout out. As always, we appreciate all the love. Folks, we are talking about this Biden press conference yesterday, an absolute cluster bomb of epic proportions. It does not help. It did not help at all. If Biden was trying to make the case that he needs to stay in the race, I do not think this helped him at all. Now, I wish conservatives would kind of be quiet and kind of let these Democrats live out their fantasy. But why does Biden keep talking about serving in the Senate? Let's listen to this.
I served in the Senate a long time.
Which is absolutely true.
I understand the impetus of candidates running for local office and whether they think the topic can help them or not. In my state of Delaware, which was a very, at least it was a red state when I started. In terms of we now talk red and blue.
Man, wow. That he is struggling to keep a coherent stream of thought. Am I wrong here? Am I not seeing what my eyes and ears? Am I not seeing and hearing? Is this not a man trying to struggle to keep a coherent stream of thought?
I don't recall.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Most of the Democratic presidents winning my state when I was a candidate. The truth of the matter is I understand the self-interest of a candidate. If they think that, running with Biden at the top is going to hurt them, then they're going to run away. I get it. But so far, go and look at the polling data in their states. Look at the in-depth, and by the way, I think you'd all acknowledge, and you're all experts. I'm not being solicitous about the president. You're experts on this stuff.
You're not being what?
I'm not being solicitous about the president. By the way, I think you'd all acknowledge, and you're all experts. I'm not being solicitous about the president. You're experts.
He's not being. Can somebody tell me what he just said? Can anybody tell me what that man just said? He's not being selective. What?
How accurate does anybody think the polls are these days?
Well, I mean, look.
The election, Governor Whitmer of Michigan, for instance, said it wouldn't hurt to take a test.
Well, look, two things. One, I've taken 3 significant and intense neurological exams by a neurologist.
What?
Neurological exams by a neurologist.
Come on. Y'all don't believe that. None of you all believe that. You can't tell me you believe that man passed anybody's neurological test at all, okay? The fact of the matter is the Democrats are going to lie. They're going to say Joe Biden has a lifelong speech impediment. Joe Biden, right, has always had an issue speaking. They're going to say that, okay? That's what they're going to say. But then what you have to account for is the videos of Joe in 1984 talking reckless to people. Okay, you're going to have to factor in him talking absolutely reckless. So for the Democrats that say we're dealing with a Joe Biden, a man who's had a lifelong speech impediment, that's what they want us to believe. We're dealing with a guy. This is not neurological decline. This is not cognitive decline. This is a man with a lifelong speech impediment. Okay, now I'm going to point your direction to this. Now, and I want you all to notice Want you all to be very clear about something. When the DNC chair, and I'm going to play that video in a second, when the ridiculous DNC chair gets up there and says, I even forget my kids' names. I ain't never a day forgot my kid's name. Like, that's not normal, forgetting your kid's name. That I wouldn't want you in charge of anything if you can't remember your own kid's name. But you're going to have to make the argument that this guy has a speech impediment. Listen to
What
this.
school did you attend, and where did you place in that class? And the other question is, could you quickly, I think we all
I think I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. In the first year in law school, I decided I didn't want to be in law school and ended up in the bottom two-thirds of my class, and then decided I wanted to stay, went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I won the International Moot Court competition. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only need 123 credits, and I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
If I could say one thing.
Where is the speech impediment? That's what I want to know, right? That's Biden in 1984. Where is the speech impediment, ladies and gentlemen? Where is the stutter? Where is the lifelong stutterer that they told us Joe Biden is a lifelong stutterer? Okay, so you go from that. Now, I will readily admit 46-year-old me is not the same as 20-year-old me. Fair point, touche, I got you. However, there is a vastly different scenario going on here. We're talking about an 80-plus-year-old man, okay? We're not talking about this guy cannot physically be, he just can't physically be making the decisions running the country. There's no way you can convince anybody with eyes and ears that this is the man running the country. You can't. And then you have this.
We're sitting around. That's where Kamala's so good as well. We're sitting around. More children are killed by the bullet.
Why are you yelling, bro? I don't understand this random yell.
We're sitting around. That's where Kamala's so good as well. We're sitting around. More children are killed by the bullet than any other cause of death. The United States of America. What the hell are we doing? What are we doing?
Do you even know what you're doing, sir? Ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. This is beyond partisanship. This is beyond Democrat, Republican. This is beyond that. We are in a situation where the most powerful military in the world, the biggest economy in the world, the freest country in the world is basically being run by a shell. He can't possibly be running the country, ladies and gentlemen. You're rocking with us on a Friday. It's top of the morning. We're doing a weekly review, the weekly wrap up here. I know we spent a lot of time talking about this Biden press conference, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to come right back after this quick commercial break. There is a coup against Joe Biden, and supposedly Barack Obama's behind it. We're going to take a look at that and a little bit more right here on the other side of this commercial break on top of the morning. Don't go nowhere. Country illegally cast a ballot, it takes the power of your vote away. Visit onlycitizens.vote to find out how you can contact your legislature and get them to pass a citizens-only voting amendment. Again, visit onlycitizens.vote and defend your right to vote. Doesn't mean you have to vote Democrat. This year, in order to see benefits for our communities, we need to vote outside the box. Find out more by visiting us at tuconservative.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're back. It's top of the morning here on the Urban Conservative. It's a Friday. Hopefully, you got yourself a good cup of coffee. Hopefully, this is your Friday for your work week so that you can have a good weekend, get yourself off and relax. We're talking a little bit about this Biden controversy, about this big boy press conference that he had yesterday. And the reality of this is people are starting to think that it is actually Barack Obama behind this coup in the Democratic Party against Joe Biden. Biden staffers have reportedly come to believe that Barack Obama is playing a central part in the plot to create further obstacles in the president's uphill battle for re-election. Despite Biden and Obama buddy public image, there's allegedly been seeds of tension between the pair, with MSNBC host Joe Scarborough pointing out that Biden's frustration dates back to before his own presidency. Quote, Joe Biden is deeply resentful of his treatment, not only under the by the Obama staff, but also the way he was pushed aside for Hillary Clinton. Now, Politico has also noted that the former president and longtime friend of the Bidens was privy to and chose not to dissuade George Clooney's Wednesday op-ed for the New York Times, calling for the candidate to step off the ticket. Clooney, who called for the president to save democracy by quitting the race, outlined Biden's demeanor at a fundraising dinner, also attended by Obama, as damning. Okay. Now, the thing is with this whole George Clooney, right? George Clooney is a massive fundraiser for the Democrats. Massive fundraiser. Now, I myself, and y'all gonna judge me for this. You're gonna say, oh, you're one of those shut up and dribble, shut up and act people. Why do we give a crap what somebody who pretends for a living thinks about serious politics? I've never understood. It's like, why do we give a crap what rappers think about politics? Right? Like why do we care what Fat Joe thinks? Why do I care? Why does anybody care what a rapper, an actor thinks about politics? Why does it even matter? But George Clooney wrote in this opinion piece, which, is a fairly damaging piece. He wrote, I love Joe Biden. As a senator, as a vice president, and as president, I consider him a friend and I believe in him, believe in his character, believe in his morals. In the last 4 years, he's won many of the battles he's faced. I don't know which battle he's talking about. Can't be the economic battle. Can't be the battle of the southern border. Can't be either one of those battles. But the one battle, quote, the one battle he cannot win is this fight against time. None of us can. It's devastating to say it, but Joe Biden I was with 3 weeks ago at the fundraiser was not the Joe big effing deal Biden of 2010. He wasn't even the Joe Biden of 2020. He was the same man we witnessed at the debate. 81 years old this guy is, okay? And now we have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where we don't want, if we're smart as conservatives, we don't want Joe Biden off the ticket. But y'all see these Democrat, lefty, left-wing activists, actors, multi-gajillion dollars going into the Democratic Party. He knew, Clooney knew, everybody knew 4 years ago that Joe Biden was cognitively declined. That's why he stayed in the basement. We all know that's why he stayed in the basement. Come on, George. Y'all knew this 4 years ago. But you wanted your guy in. You wanted your people getting jobs in the White House. That's all it boiled down to. Y'all knew what this was about 4 years ago. Okay? Now, the reality of this is that we're talking about somebody who has to be in bed by 8 o'clock. Juxtapose that, all right? Juxtapose that with what's happening with Donald Trump, okay? Juxtapose that with the fact that Hungary's Viktor Orban, right after the NATO summit, okay, jumped and flew down to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Donald Trump, okay? What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? What does that tell us? Okay, Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban flew direct from the NATO summit in D.C. late Thursday night to meet with President Trump at his Florida compound. The pair convened at Trump's beachside facility, shared a photo of the moment on social media. We discussed ways to make peace. The good news of the day, he's going to solve it. On his own Truth Media site, Trump posted, "Thank you, Victor. There must be peace and quickly. You want peace in the world? Let's get Donald Trump back in the White House." Putin's going to stop what he's doing if Trump gets back in the White House. Hamas is going to stop what they're doing if you get Trump back in the White House. We're not talking about somebody who's going to play around with these people. Donald Trump knows that the United States of America has the most powerful, most technically advanced, most capable, most highly trained military in the world, and we will not hesitate to walk softly but carry a big stick, as they say. But that ought to tell you what's happening. And we can go back and look at the reception that Biden gets overseas versus the reception that Trump gets overseas. Not the same thing. But that ought to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening. When you have the prime minister flying directly from NATO to go tell Trump how terrible it was. And one of my favorite lines out of debate, I don't know what he said. He doesn't even know what he just said. Right? So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're on to something here. I want Joe to stay in the race. I want it to be either Joe or Kamala. And if it's Kamala, oh, buddy, we're going to have a field day with that. Just a couple of other things here before we head on out for the weekly wrap up. If you live in North Carolina, you know that Charlotte has been under siege. There have been shootings. There's an 18-year-old is one of the two teenagers suspected of shooting people at random on Tuesday morning in Charlotte. The city's been under siege. We've had random shootings. Our homicide rate is out the roof. Through the roof, I should say. And what do we have? We have a representative, okay? We have a representative who is doing absolutely nothing, okay? This ought to terrify you, okay? This ought to, if you live in the 12th congressional district, I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. Alma Adams says Biden is best candidate to win 2024 election. She put her support behind Biden as other House Democrats encouraged the president to step aside. Come on. If you're a Democrat and you live in Charlotte, this should terrify you. This should absolutely terrify you. President Biden has been an extraordinary president, she said in a statement to WCNC Charlotte. Throughout his career, he's demonstrated that he genuinely cares about our country and its people, and he has a historic record to show for it. I will continue to stand with the president and the people who elected him to be our nominee. He's the best candidate to be in this race. Ladies and gentlemen, if you think that he is the best candidate for the race, I challenge and question your mental fitness, ma'am. We're talking about a 78-year-old lady who ought to know better, who voted against the citizens-only voting amendment in the citizens-only voting bill in the U.S. Congress. This is absolutely ridiculous. And Democrats, y'all should know this. And I'm not going to lump all Democrats into the crazy leftists that no, there are some common sense Democrats out there that are looking at this and going, no way this is possible. No way this makes any type of sense at all. But when you talk about Joe Biden and Alma Adams, you're talking about people who have collectively been in government for over 70 years. Collectively, these two have been in government, have been living off the taxpayers' dime collectively for over 70 years. They don't know what it's like to have to sign the front or the back of a paycheck. We're not talking about Alma Adams, somebody who actually has anything vested in the city of Charlotte. Her kids don't go to the public schools here. She has no business interest vested in Charlotte. And you got to ask yourself a question. What can a 78 and an 81-year-old bring to the world of 2024? What do they bring to the table, ladies and gentlemen? Absolutely nothing. Think about this for a second. Charlotte, our city homicide rate is going through the roof. And y'all don't want to call it that, but I will call it that. We have a sheriff that does not want to cooperate with ICE. Our streets are being shot up Our schools are unsafe. Our teachers are being held hostage in classrooms. This is ridiculous. And this woman, who is a product of the civil rights generation, who should understand that for people whose freckles are as close together as ours, at one point to be treated as second-class citizens. We had people fight, bleed, and die for our right to vote. For this woman to not have the common sense to sign on to a bill that wants to protect the ballot by saying you must be a U.S. citizen to vote in this country is absolutely ridiculous. It is by far one of the most ridiculous votes that she has taken since she's been in there, and it is yet another example of her extreme partisanship. Example of extreme partisanship. And I ask you, I challenge my Democrat friends in Charlotte. Our city ranks 50 out of 50 for upward economic mobility. In other words, if you are born poor in Charlotte, your chances of staying poor are very high. All Alma Adams does is fight for HBCUs. Well, how in the hell are any of these people going to even have the chance to get to an HBCU if they're going to get killed, they're going to get shot, they're going to be the victims of crime? They have no positive upward economic outlook for their lives if you're born and raised in Charlotte. And this woman has done nothing about it. Absolutely nothing about it, which is why I'm imploring Democrat friends, unaffiliated friends in Charlotte who may not see things the way that I see them. I recognize we are not going to agree 100%, but what I will always be willing to do is sit and meet and listen and take into consideration people's opinions that differ from me before I take a vote. And for Alma Adams to come out and to continue to support Joe Biden is a prime example of why she needs to go. And I'm going to say it right now. Some of these black political caucuses ought to be ashamed of themselves. They pretend that they are nonpartisan. They pretend that they have the best interests of black people, when in reality, they are nothing more than the water carriers for the Democratic Party. I'm calling out the MEC-BPC on this, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Black Political Caucus. Nothing more than water carriers for the Democratic Party. Same thing with the Cabarrus County Black Political Caucus. I have the text message from the prior chair saying that they won't participate in anything that's nonpartisan because it does not uphold the values of the Democrat Party. So if they're going to lie to the black residents of Charlotte and tell them that they have their best interest in mind, that is a firm 100% lie. They are carrying water for the Democrat Party. And let's ask ourselves a question. With Democrat leadership in Charlotte, with Democrat leadership in New York, with Democrat leadership in Detroit, with Democrat leadership in Chicago, with Democrat leadership in Atlanta, have your communities gotten better? The answer is no. Have your communities gotten safer? The answer is no. Have your communities seen upward economic mobility for people that are born in those cities? The answer is no. Absolutely not. And for Alma Adams to pretend as if Joe Biden has done something to benefit the communities of this country that are suffering is an absolute joke. It's pathetic. These two people on your screen have spent more time living off of you and I, the taxpayers. It's absolutely ridiculous that these career politicians think they know us better for you and your family than you do. To vote no yesterday, day before yesterday, on H.R. 8281 was a slap in the face of everybody who stood for civil rights in this country, who stood for women's rights to vote, who stood for blacks' rights to vote, for our full citizenship. That is a slap in the face, ladies and gentlemen. Soapbox complete. There you have it. But ladies and gentlemen, you've been rocking with us here on the weekly wrap up, top of the morning here on the Urban Conservative. Every Monday through Friday, we rock with you. And then each and every Monday night, 8 p.m. for the Urban Conservative podcast. We got some amazing guests coming up on the podcast. I cannot wait. The 22nd of this month, we've got a very special guest that's going to be joining us here on the Urban Conservative, my good friend Ken Fontenot, who represents North Carolina House District 24 in the North Carolina House, is going to be joining us here on the Urban Conservative. That is an episode that you do not want to miss. It's going to be live on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever wherever podcasts are available. We're going to have a nice little reception for him tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, please have a safe, positive, and productive weekend. We appreciate all the love, support here that we get at the Urban Conservative. Make sure you visit our website, tuconservative.com. Subscribe over on YouTube at TUC Twins, Facebook, the Urban Conservative, at TU Conservative. For my twin brother, Raheem Architect Soto, you have been checking out the weekly wrap-up here on Top of the Morning on the Urban Conservative. Again, we appreciate the love. Y'all have a positive and productive weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
Front the opioid crisis, but it turns out that was just another broken campaign promise. Here's what really happened under Stein's leadership. Drug overdose deaths in North Carolina have more than doubled. In 2021, 4,041 people in North Carolina lost their lives to overdoses, the highest number of overdose deaths in a single year ever in North Carolina. And fentanyl overdose deaths have increased more than 600